Maliki remains beholden to powerful behind-the-scenes actors like Muqtada al-Sadr, none of whom want national reconciliation with Iraq's Sunni minorities. They still think they can defeat the insurgency with the help of either the Americans or Iran. Joost Hilterman, Middle East Project Director of the International Crisis Group.
Welcome back to Inside Iraq. We are discussing Al-Maliki's latest offer to the Baathists to join the political process with Saleh al-Mutlaq, Hamid al-Bayati and Burhan al-Chalabi. Hamid al-Bayati, this offer by Al-Maliki for the Baathists to join the political process, he's drawing a very sharp distinction between the Baath party, which he absolutely renounced and he will not permit to go back into politics, and between Baathists that they have to renounce their allegiance to the Baathists. They should not have engaged in any military operations against the government. How is that possible?
It is possible because the Baath party was connected with all the crimes committed by Saddam regime against the Iraqi people and the neighboring countries. Since 1968, the Baath party was oppressing the Iraqi people, killing them in mass graves, using chemical weapons against the north and the south, and even the west in Ramadi, and then invasion of countries. However, now the reconciliation with members of the Baath party who were forced to join the Baath party, not the Saddamists. I can distinguish between Saddamists who supported Saddam and his regime. Now those who were forced to join the Baath party in order to be able to live or to complete their studies or higher education, that the doors are open for them.
But do you see why such offers has been rejected in the past? This is not the first offer. I can recall about 5 or 6 conferences and they all ended up with nothing, simply because of this tremendous conditions that have been placed on reconciliation.
Now, when you say nothing, Mohammed Rashad al-Sheikh Radi, who is a member of the regional command leadership of the Baath party, he was in Baghdad meeting leaders of the Iraqi government. What do you mean nothing? If you have a leader who is coming from a Baath party, there are 10 Baath parties, and we have to know we are dealing with who. If we're talking about Izzat al-Duri, who was deputy of Saddam, he's a criminal and he's, of course, wanted. If you're talking about Muhammad Yunus al-Ahmad, who's leading the insurgency and the killing, of course he's criminal. But those, even there are Baathists who oppose Saddam regime. There are
you made your point. Let me ask Saleh al-Mutlaq, who is in Baghdad, and he follows this tremendously. And I'm sure that perhaps he has even some links with what it is called the Iraqi resistance. Will anything come out of these dialogues and contacts, Saleh al-Mutlaq?
No, I don't think there is a real intention towards going into a real reconciliation in this country. And by the way, we've been saying that from the beginning, that without reconciliation is a must, and without it we cannot rebuild the country again. And it is a must now, and it's a waste of time by putting some red lines on this side or the other side. I think we should go ahead on opening the dialogue with everybody who wants to enter the political process and start building the country after it was destroyed.
Let me ask you, there are many quarters also, they fear that a conciliation with the Baathists is not in Iraq's interest. For instance, Al-Tayyar al-Sadri, the Sadrist movement, they abhor that Al-Maliki is extending an olive branch to the Baathists. As a matter of fact, some imams in mosque, they say this is unholy to extend an olive branch to the Baathists. Go ahead, Saleh al-Mutlaq.
Well, I think this is ridiculous. I mean, you cannot talk such a statement, just throw it like that. And these are not political statements. We've been saying that for a long time, and most of these statements are supported by Iran. Those who want to be near to the Iranian regime, they usually throw such statements. The Baathists are Iraqis, and it is our internal issue. We should solve it, whether some of the Sadrists will accept that or reject it, whether some of the Iranians will accept it or reject it. I think those who are rejecting the Baathists to join the country now, they are afraid of the Baath party because of what they had done in comparison of what was done during the Baath time. I'm not defending anybody, but I want to be fair.
Burhan, I think you have a comment. Go ahead.
The process of reconciliation is whereby people who have suffered grief who have suffered harm give their hands of friendship and forgiveness to those who has caused the harm and who has caused the terrible grief. And those between people who have done right to Iraq by resisting the occupation and defending their dignity and self-respect, and by those who have brought death and destruction to the Iraqis by the occupation and collaboration with the occupation.
Wonderful
Therefore,
statement, Burhan al-Chalabi, but let us look at realistically.
Can I just say something? Therefore,
let me just say, if you hold power, would you give it up? When Saddam held power for 35 years, didn't he exclude the rest? So why is it not good for Al-Maliki to hold power and exclude the rest?
I'm saying if Mr. Al-Maliki's aides have given him the wrong advice by going for national reconciliation, if Mr. Al-Maliki's intent is good and he wants to right the wrongs of the occupation and the traitors and the collaboration, then there is a different agenda he can come out with. First of all, he must apologize to the Iraqi people for the suffering they have been through by the occupation and invasion. He must tear out that sectarian constitution which was imposed on Iraq by Viceroy Paul Bremner. And most importantly, he should scrap that military accord which he signed with the Americans, and the whole purpose of which is to protect him and to keep him in the green zone. He can come and do good by doing these things. He has chosen the wrong agenda. And Mr. Al-Bayati thinks that the crimes are committed by the Baathist regime are crimes. But the crimes committed by those who have collaborated with the occupiers, who have caused all the agonies I have talked about, are not crimes. It doesn't work like that way, Mr. Bayati. I'm sorry.
Hamid Al-Bayati, go ahead.
Well, first, the invasion of Iraq started after the invasion of Kuwait. We know the Americans came to the region and they went to Iraq in 1991 to liberate Kuwait. So the Baathists, Saddam, and whoever defend them, the Saddamists, are responsible for bringing all those forces in the region, and the Americans stay in the region since 1990. This is a fact. So they were in the first place, those who were responsible for bringing American and other troops. Even Arab troops fight in Iraq, like Egyptian, Syrian, and other Gulf countries. So this is a fact, and I don't think by changing the facts, we have history. Talking about electricity and the situation in Iraq during Saddam time, electricity was cut off in Iraq during Saddam time. I think Salih Hamdan didn't know that. Probably he enjoyed electricity 24 hours then. Again, with the salaries, with the life standard of those who are talking about children finding food in the rubbish. During Saddam regime time, the average salary was $1. Now it's like $500 for Iraqi people. So nobody can talk about Iraq during Saddam time, because in 1979, the oil revenue was $75 billion. And look what happened during Saddam time.
I'll take a short comment from Salih Al-Mutlaq. I'll finish up with Burhan Al-Chalabi. Go ahead, Salih Al-Mutlaq.
In any case, Iraq was under sanction at that time, and the Iraqis were living in a much better situation.
Who caused the sanction?
Than what they are living
Who caused
now.
the sanction? What caused the sanction? Is the invasion of Kuwait and Saddam and the Baathists.
Let me finish this program by taking a final comment
who
from...
Who caused the sanction at that time, Mr. Bayati?
Oh, come on.
You know very well who did the sanction. It's the American who made the sanction on Iraq.
The sanction,
anyhow,
because of the invasion of Kuwait.
Hamid Al-Bayati, let Salih Al-Mutlaq finish, please.
And his supporters.
Go ahead, Salih Al-Mutlaq.
Okay.
Why don't you defend Iraq as much as you are defending Kuwait, for heaven's sake, Mr. Hamid Al-Bayati? You are, after all, you are an Iraqi and you are from an Arab tribe, so I would expect you to defend your country and to defend your people instead of defending the others. Iraq suffered during more than 10 years from sanction, and although the situation was very hard, but people were having electricity and they have food and they have education. Please come to Iraq now and see how people are living so that you could be fair. We cannot accept the propaganda that's being said before the occupation in Iraq to be repeated again. And the Americans themselves, they realized that what they said about Iraq and the excuse they made for the invasion of Iraq was wrong. So why are we going ahead on using the same propaganda that the Americans used it at that time?
Salih Al-Mutlaq, thank you very much.
Obstacles against the others.
Salih Al-Mutlaq, thank you very much. A final comment from Burhan Al-Chalabi. Burhan, listening to Hamid Al-Bayati and Salih Al-Mutlaq debating this argument, you would think definitely, and I'm going to go on a limb, that Al-Maliki's offer for national reconciliation is dead.
Jassim, Iraqi history has taught you and me that Iraqis have never taken kindly to traders and collaborators. And I fear that the current generation and future generations of Iraqis will hold this principle dearly. This is not a promise. This is not a threat. This is a reinstatement of the genetic makeup of the Iraqi people that has made Iraq the cradle of civilization. And having allegiance and political ties to enemies like Iran is considered as treason in any country in the world.
Burhan Al-Chalabi, Hamid Al-Bayati, Salih Al-Mutlaq. Gentlemen, thank you for being guests on Inside Iraq. To access the show and to send us your comments, please go to aljazeera.net/English. We have reached the end of this show. Join me next week when we take another look inside Iraq. Until then, have a great week.